skulls crushed in with a sledgehammer in the third round, bleeding like a sieve. And they go, okay, guys, let's go. I'll let you know when we're going to stop it. So let's keep fighting. It was all Ronnie Dean, man, the governor here in Florida.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Thursday morning. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest along with one Mike Lubitz, and we'll be with you until 9 o'clock Eastern today. And we juxtapose a few things. We will incorporate in a short version of the Highland Park Trivia Challenge. We're going to challenge a couple of people here with our trivia content on the program. And also, wow, I think we're going to actually don, is this possible, Mike Lubitz? It seems sort of out of character and out of our usual MO to don our journalistic caps today.
Sure.
I think Jack and Amy are going to be very surprised over there at Ion Channel, and maybe in a good way, right? I mean, can we possibly go into more of an intellectual mode here on the program after goofing around for the first 4 months? But we will have a lot of fun while we do this. John Feinstein is going to join us on the program, and there's a great reason for that. Number one, the guy's fascinating. I actually lost money. Should I hit John Feinstein up with this, Lubie? I lost money. I took a prop bet, number of points that Steph Curry would score in the All-Star game versus number of books that have been authored by John Feinstein. Now, Wikipedia credits Feinstein with 44 books, but Wikipedia, I don't know how up to date they are. I mean, every now and then a guy checks out, and they have it like that day, like if John Madden dies, that they'll have his, date of passing already on Wikipedia. So they're pretty good with that for the most part. Would you say? Not everything is accurate, but with up to the date, up to the minute information, they're pretty good at updating things. And they have Feinstein at 44 books, which I'm thinking he probably wrote 2 since they published that last piece about him. No, because they don't list the one that was his latest one, Raise a Fist and Take a Knee.
Which, at least at 45, and I think he may even have a 46th.
Yeah, so, I mean, Curry, who figured he was going to hit 16 threes? Come on, Lubie. Who even takes 16 threes in a ball game? I don't care if you're Steph Curry or Pete Maravich. 16 threes in an all-star game? Hey, you ball hog! But everybody loved it. It was a great show. He had the MVP honor, and then, of course, paid tribute to Kobe Bryant, and said what a distinction it was to win this award that was now named after Kobe Bryant, or named for Kobe Bryant. But to lose that one by 6, I mean, that was pretty unusual. I thought I was in there with a shot with Feinstein at 44 books. I was willing to forgive them and forsake the 45th book, which is a fascinating piece of work, and the reason that we wanted to have John on the show, and we decided to maybe scale back a little bit of the Highland Park Trivia Challenge today, is John was able to join us at 7:20. He's going to be with us in about 15 minutes. Is that every topic that is red hot right now on the sporting front, all we could think of is, who should we get to comment on this? And it was Feinstein.
Yeah.
Whether you were talking about the Brian Flores lawsuit, which is very pertinent to his last piece of work, where, he was talking about, I don't know, I'm not really sure that it's systemic racism all throughout sport, but that the struggles of black athletes to get the kind of recognition that they would normally merit if they were white, as possible contenders for major jobs. I don't even know if he was just talking about that so much in the book. He was saying that racism still very much exists in America. We know that. Witness the George Floyd thing. The trial is still ongoing. I guess the jury hasn't come back with a verdict on the other 3 cops that were involved in that as to whether or not they were involved. I think, is that a federal trial about a hate crime? The last 3 cops, or is that just going on in Minnesota as a state offense? But anyway, this Derrick Chauvin, he's already been sentenced to 22 years. The other 3 guys are saying, hey, we couldn't stop him, which I don't know. I mean, what level of blame do you place on these guys? They couldn't have grabbed Chauvin at some point. I know he was the top guy in terms of rank in the group, or at least that's my perception of it. But if you're a cop in that situation and you see what's going on, and you see a guy's about to die while he's in handcuffs, while he's on the ground, while people are shooting video of it with their cell phones and yelling and screaming, "Hey, do something!" and you stand there and sit on your hands at that point, figuratively. Are you complicit in what happened? And that's being decided right now. And I don't know to what degree these guys will be held complicit and or responsible, but we shall find out. But obviously, this is still a giant problem in the United States of America and probably around the world. And it was always very much, a persistent underlying and theme that people didn't really like to recognize in sport. John did a great job with his book of illustrating a lot of the different things through the eyes of the people who suffered through these struggles and were victimized by this inherent bias that seems to exist. And so, perfect to talk about this whole Brian Flores thing in the National Football League. And then, of course, Megan Imbert is going to join us later on. We've been talking about this interview we had with Megan. Unfortunately, we had a technical snafu, a site crash or whatever it was with the device we were using or whatever system we were using to tape the video for this. So we tried to bring that to you on Tuesday, and Megan Imbert has been kind enough to consent to come back and kind of reprise the interview she did with us on our Believe podcast and do a live interview with us today. So that's happening later on, and to accommodate both of those interviews, we had to kind of move some things around. So we'll have in between somewhere, we'll play a few people in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And we always want to pay homage to the great people at Hialeah Park who have backed everything we do. But I think they would be very supportive of the idea of bringing you, I don't know that this, the Megan Imbert interview was explosive, I thought. I didn't know if these allegations had been directed specifically at Dan Schneider, that he personally had ordered these voyeurism videos of naked cheerleaders while with the Washington Redskins, and then later on the Washington football team, now the Commanders, that Dan Schneider had actually put on order an annual nude video of Redskin cheerleaders to be set to his favorite tunes. I mean, these allegations, I hadn't heard them before. Leslie Visser, of course, very much on top of the story, the lovely and talented Leslie Visser, who, by the way, has an amazing podcast herself. You ought to check it out, people. Just absolutely phenomenal. The people she gets on, it's always been incredible. And it's one of the things, I mean, my feeling, Lubie, and people gauge success in a lot of different ways, or whether or not you've had a good career or not. And I really believe this, that part of the richness of life is the opportunity to get to know interesting people. Yes. And to get to befriend and hear the stories and, be able to sit down and talk with some of the most interesting people that have ever lived. And I've been very lucky and fortunate in that regard, but nothing close to the extent that Leslie Visser has. And she sent me a text about the Megan Imbert interview and said that she is very credible. Even though, I mean, as we said, it seemed I was struggling to come up with the word explosive, but and I was thinking, wow, these are some very inflammatory statements. Yep. But inflammatory would suggest that maybe they possibly weren't true. So, the credibility issue obviously is very important if you're going to present this kind of material. Here we are. I mean, we're serious journalists, aren't we, Lubie? These are guys that are talking about betting your grandmother's inheritance money on a 3 to 5 shot at Aqueduct. No, but you don't want to just have somebody come on and make a bunch of blind statements that have no foundation in fact. And Leslie vouched for the fact that, or the the notion that Megan Imbert was highly credible and was maybe part of. I don't know. Is she part of this whole lawsuit and congressional stuff that's going on? Because
but she's involved in suits. She's involved in the actions against the Redskins / Dan Schneider. Like she has did that. Like she's changed careers because of it. Like she literally has changed her world around because she's not going to just stand idly by while and look, she talked about the thing that caught me was when she kept bringing the NFL into it. Like,
yes,
whenever Schneider comes up or Dallas, you don't really hear the NFL as an entity. She went right after it. She's like, they're complicit and it's a joke, which I'm really curious to hear her say more.
I mean, you would have to think that the National Football League has the wherewithal and the power to shut this kind of behavior down if they really wanted to, and say none of this will be tolerated, even on the most slight and insignificant of levels. And, if you think you're going to get away with harassing women and having a toxic environment where women end up literally like feeling like dog meat and crawling out of the business that they so much wanted to get involved in. I mean, I remember, I always wanted to get involved in sports. When I got that first job at Shea Stadium, I couldn't have been more thrilled, right? I'm in the game. Yep. I'm getting to go to games for free, which is pretty much what being a sports journalist is all about.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of the things. You pursue the things in life. If you do pursue the things in life that you really enjoy, it's great to be a part of it. And Leslie put it very profoundly. I'm kind of summarizing her quote here or whatever. Doing a little extrapolation. But she was saying, she loved being in this business herself, and it's heartbreaking to see these women who also love being involved in sports get crushed like this by onerous organizational policies and philosophies that are made up by guys that really have no business, being a part of the game, except for the fact that they have a lot of money. Yep. So, and I don't know that we're seeing some of this on, another level with Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. But I did get a kick out of yesterday's program because you really have to wonder how it's possible that guys like you and me, Lubie, guys like our many fine listeners and viewers here on Ion Channel, are probably having a better time dealing with life than maybe Stephen Ross with his zillions of dollars, unless some people have no conscience, right?
Yeah.
They just they don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what evil they are purveyors of. They think they're good people. And I've always perceived Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, seemed like a decent guy. No, I mean, some of the things that he was involved in, charity work that he was involved in, seemed very noble and. Yep. Seem to be of the right line of thinking, at least. And you were saying, wow, that's really great. This guy's giving billions of dollars away for education and this and that and other things. Yep. And yet, it may be just immune to the whole idea that there's some nonsense going on inside the Dolphins organization that has risen to the level now where, I don't know, is he in crisis mode or is he just moseying around just going about his business as if nothing was happening, right? They seem to be, these statements seem to reflect the idea that they're just shrugging their shoulders going, he's a liar. He's a liar.
That's what it feels like whenever they respond. It's like,
like it's nothing, right? Mr. Deforrest, your delinquent taxes have come in excess of six figures. We would like to see if you would, be amenable to coming in and arranging an interview with us so we can sit down and settle these matters.
Sure.
And you're like, yeah, sure. Potentially. Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
No, but, some people are immune to that sort of thing, right? I mean, and usually it's people of an evil nature. That,
yes.
And I don't perceive Stephen Ross necessarily to be that, but I don't know him well enough to make a judgment. I really don't. I know nothing about this guy. I have never had a conversation with him. I actually did have a few conversations with Wayne Huizenga when he owned the team. And of course, Joe Robbie was accessible, although, he was kind of a cantankerous old sort. But his family was certainly, as spokespeople for Joe Robbie's position, we were friendly with Tim Robbie. And, he was always very forthright with things that were going on, although every now and then you thought, well, I don't know, Tim. I'm not so sure that, he was very honest. And yet with Stephen Ross, I don't know. Does anybody really know this guy well? Somebody must, right? Nat Moore, he hangs out with him.
Maybe. Marino, I don't know. Tannenbaum, I have no idea.
Somebody must, yeah.
I mean, it's so...
It's so funny when you see somebody that you perceive to have good intentions that just, I don't know, for a better way of putting it, lack of a better way of putting it, just fucks everything up. But to think that he can't buy a moment's peace between the $100 million that he had to deal off, just peel off hundreds of millions of dollars to, part ways with his wife, Kara, who I don't know how, doesn't he strike you as somebody that was married for a long, long time? I mean, this wasn't something where, you saw Bob Kraft pull some girl out of an Asian massage parlor and marry her like the next day, 2 days after his wife had been buried. Remember when he was with that young actress? We should have known something was up with old Bobby Kraft then.
He was running lines like a week after his wife died of cancer. It was like a whole thing. The Patriots came together as an organization. Yeah. And then like a week later, he's taking videos, running lines with some barely an adult.
Like a 30-year-old actress that had yet to gain a part anywhere, but all of a sudden was being cast aside, alongside of Leonardo DiCaprio in his next feature film. It was like, wait a minute, how'd she get that job? She has no trend. Well, she had no discovery here. Just on the scene. Old Bobby Kraft just happens to be a producer, executive producer on the movie. All right, John Feinstein's coming up in just a few seconds. Highland Park. We will have the trivia challenge. I have some questions. I'm not sure how how difficult they're going to be, but nonetheless, we do have a couple of series of questions that we're going to pose later on. You can dial us up on that at 954-471-0070. Highland Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie's got the Landlubbers gift certificate. We're going to give that away. As we always like to mention and drop in here, the distinction of being crowned a champion in any competition that's being run by Jack Namer's organization. He probably doesn't want his name associated with this, just in case we stiff the person on the prize. Sorry, Jack.
You don't stiff anybody.
Do we need a disclaimer?
No.
There's no guarantee you're going to receive your prize, and Ion Channel has nothing to do with it, people. Nothing whatsoever.
We'll try and get it out to you. If you don't want it, that's on you. But we will do.
Jack's got powerful attorneys, though. Well, we've had Lipschitz on our side the entire time, and whenever we really need him to do something outside of book a bet, unfortunately, we get a voice message, and that's it. You're lost in voicemail hell. I'm telling you, I paid the retainer. But you get no action whatsoever. All right, John Feinstein coming up, and many things to discuss with him. You have the Flores thing. You have the thing with the now Washington Commanders and Dan Schneider. And Dan Schneider, all we have to do is say Dan Schneider, and it's like saying Niagara Falls from the old comedy bit. Slowly he turns, step by step. He just dismantles this guy, and any very eloquently too, much better than we can do it. And it's from personal experience also. So we're looking forward to that. And also, I mean, excellent to talk about. I'm reading more about this whole Phil Mickelson thing and that Saudi golf tour that was trying to rival the PGA and lure a bunch of star players away. And Phil was talking about what a travesty his life has been since he's been on the PGA tour. He's making $60 million in endorsements.
Yeah, it's a sad life.
Come on, Phil.
Like, what are you talking about?
Even Brooks Koepka, who seems like a bit of a sourpuss, doesn't he? Brooks Koepka.
Seems fun.
Yeah, I mean, he hates everybody, which I like that about him. And, he's a tough competitor. I mean, nobody more clutch in the majors in recent years than Koepka, although injuries seem to have maybe, for lack of, not using a pun here, cramped his style, so to speak. Well, although always a factor and probably will be prominent, I would imagine he rises again to the top levels. He's been playing well recently, Brooks Koepka. But, wow, I mean, he didn't spare any words. He minced no words in talking about what a douchebag Phil Mickelson is. I don't think he used those words exactly, but that might have been kind. Actually, that was pretty tame compared to what Koepka had to say about Phil and his complaint and the whole thing about the Saudis, a mess. So John, of course, wrote the book "A Good Walk Spoiled" about the PGA Tour. One of his many personal experience. Writings and offerings that he had, including hard courts with tennis, and of course his most famous book, probably, I think he would say so also, A Season on the Brink, where he had the balls to follow Bobby Knight around on a year where he wasn't exactly doing well. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that would have been... Oof.
Knight was a trip when he was winning championships and going undefeated. Imagine when all of a sudden he's losing on a buzzer beater to some schmink team like Murray State. I mean, come on. Then you have to travel 2 days on the road. There's a lot of time between college games. And if the team stays on the road, you can every now and then sense the bitterness of the coach. Leonard Hamilton used to call me like 7 a.m, right? I'd be out cold, right? He didn't realize I'd spent the evening before and the entire early morning hours at whatever nearby casino there was, oftentimes driving as much as 4 or 5 hours to get to that destination. And barely making it back by the time the phone rang and he said, Norris isn't going to play tonight.
That's Coach.
Norris? Who the fuck is Norris? What am I going to do? I'm just going to draft in there behind Sonny Hirsch and hope he lets me say a few words. That was about it with basketball. There's not a lot of room for the color commentator on a radio basketball broadcast. It really should be just a one-man show. All right, we're coming back with John Feinstein here in a moment. Highland Park, great place to go. We'll tell you more about that as we conduct the trivia challenge. And we have Megan Imbert coming up later on. Very explosive interview I'm anticipating with Megan. All we need to do is reprise what she had to say just a couple of days ago to us on another platform, and bingo. We're going to have a very interesting session. And Legarrette Blount, Super Bowl star, Legarrette Blount, going to join us later on in the program. He's hawking CBD, which I don't know. What's your feeling about that? Have you tried it, Lubie?
I've never tried it. I mean, I can see the idea of how marijuana will be helpful without the THC bringing you down, just the other components of body high.
Yeah, I go the other way. I could do without whatever else is in there from a healing standpoint and just take the THC. We're going to run because we want to get to John Feinstein here. He's always fascinating, and that's coming up in just a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz on On Channel, and back with John Feinstein, a distinguished and prolific author, in just a moment. Now that
the time,
it's 7:22.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Sorry about that. I was just getting into them, and they were sort of.
Hear me. I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket? Power has driven him mad.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo, joined by Lubie, on the Defo Show.
Always enjoy hearing that clip from the Trump inauguration speech. It was just a few short years ago. He stood on the steps of the White House and uttered those words. Welcome back to the show. The Defo Show here on On Channel all around the world, streaming audio and video. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. And a pleasure to welcome this gentleman. His name keeps popping up every time we think of what's hot in terms of topical sporting material, which you know is our bag here on the Defo Show. We're thinking, who can we turn to? John Feinstein, always the best, very eloquent. And, I'm sorry. I sort of spoke slightly disparagingly about you, John, earlier. And welcome to the show. How are you, by the way? I hear you're in town here in West Palm Beach.
I actually just lost him. So
okay.
Try and get him back. And then
after that brilliant opening there. Okay, we'll have John Feinstein here in just a second as Lubie does a little Fran Tarkenton-like scrambling here on the show. But, everything that we were talking about on the program and has been pretty much the featured stream, if you will, in terms of consciousness on the sporting front. The Brian Flores thing, very explosive, and that continues to just expand as he was just a couple of nights ago on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Gumbel making all the faces, and he couldn't shake Brian Flores off of his position that I was victimized by racism. I'm sick of it. I don't care what I sacrifice. I'm going to go ahead and continue to proliferate. The whole idea that this is bad, it's wrong, and it needs to change. and I want to see something substantive, something of some substance being done about it. All right, we do have John Feinstein with us on the program. And John, welcome to the show. What are you doing in town? You're working on something with David Faraday, is that correct?
That is correct, Jeff. Good to talk to you guys. I am starting research on a biography of David. So I've spent most of the last 3 days with him. He hasn't jumped out a window yet. So
why didn't you just do a book about Joe Walsh or something? If you wanted to go with guys that sometimes have behavior that you're thinking, I don't know, how anxious I am to join in on this. All right. Well, here's what happened.
This guy has a pretty interesting life.
Yeah. No, and great. Great entertainer also as a golf announcer. I loved his show. Had a great interview show. I don't know if he's still doing it, but his interview show.
He's not. I mean, when Golf Channel, slashed their budget to almost nothing, his show was a victim because it was by far the best show on their air, but it also cost money, and Golf Channel doesn't spend money anymore. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate for the viewers because you're right, it was a great show.
Is there no money in golf? I mean, they couldn't sign on with the Saudis and maybe get Phil Mickelson to.
Well, that may be their next play. Who knows? But, what happened was the PGA Tour held them up basically to get their rights renewed. And Golf Channel desperately needs the PGA Tour, obviously, on their air. So they vastly overpaid for it. And in doing so, the rest of their budget just went to zero, basically.
We were thinking this, and as we said, and I'm glad Lubie was able to get you on the program here today, because everything that came up, we were thinking who would be the best guy to go to on this? It'd be John Feinstein, and then we were thinking, geez, the happiest guy in the world that Brian Flores came out with that lawsuit 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, or the week leading up to the Super Bowl, was Dan Schneider, because when all the attention turned to
people,
yeah, I mean, when everything turned to Flores and what he was saying about racism, which naturally, was the sexy, I guess, thing to run in the headlines, even though we thought the big story there was Stephen Ross possibly paying a new incoming minority coach, offering him money to go ahead and deliberately lose games, which, it's, I guess, attempted sports bribery, a pretty heavy, assertion. And yet Schneider got his story buried. So let's start with Flores, because you had the brilliant piece, raise a fist, take a knee. And that was, I guess, until this Faraday enterprise or project, your latest offering. And it ties in so much so that these conditions persist and in all likelihood will into the distant future.
Yeah, you're right. A number of people the day the Flores lawsuit was, even the day Flores got fired, but said to me, "This is what your book was about." The fact that not only is it harder to get hired as a black coach, not just in the NFL, but pretty much across the board, it's harder to keep your job. I think you remember when I was on talking about the book with you, I mentioned Lovie Smith, who got fired in Chicago after going to a Super Bowl and following a 10-6 season. And Jim Caldwell had the best record in Detroit, 4-year record since Buddy Parker in the 50s. And the list goes on, and now Brian Flores is on that list. And, I think the Bill Belichick text when he thought he was texting Brian Daboll, another of his former assistants, I think what apparently went on with Stephen Ross, or what Flores said went on with Stephen Ross, all of that led to him, frankly, getting pissed off and filing the lawsuit. And it does, in many ways, crystallize all the things that I wrote about in Raise a Fist, Take a Knee. And you're right. This is an ongoing issue, not just with Brian Flores. It's just an ongoing issue in sports and in our world.
Very unfortunate, yeah. And don't hit send. I mean, that's always the thing when you said the Belichick text going to the wrong guy. Because at one time, I think I told my boss I love him, and I told my girlfriend at the time to go F herself. By sending out the wrong guy.
I had something like that actually happen to me years and years ago, because Tom Watson and I have run a charity golf tournament to raise money for ALS research in the name of Bruce Edwards, his former caddy and best friend who died of ALS. And one of the auction items we had was a day with John Feinstein at a Ravens game. Because I did a book on the Ravens years ago, and so I had connections there. And it was, you go to the game and you get parking, and you sit in the press box, you go on the sideline before the game, you're in the tunnel when the team's introduced. And long story short, the woman who won the bid for a pretty good amount of money, surprisingly, kept making extra requests. Can I do this? Can we do that? Can we do this? And I sent an email to Kevin Byrne, who was then the Ravens PR guy. I said, Kevin, I don't know what to tell you, but this woman just won't stop. She keeps asking for more. I really apologize. I'm tempted to give her the money back at this point. And then I sent her the email.
Oh, no.
Yeah, holy John Gruden, what did I do?
A good sport about it. She said, you're right. I have been a pain in the butt.
Nice.
So I dodged that bullet that I deserved.
We're talking with John Feinstein. Take a fist, raise a fist, take a knee is his latest offering. He's working on a book about David Faraday, one of the most interesting people when it comes to covering sports. So really looking forward to that work when it's all said and done. Follow him up on Twitter at J Feinstein Books, the tremendous author, writer, and sports commentator. John, so often when we talk about Schneider, the thing that you always love to point out, and it's true, is he skates. It feels like Brian Flores.
Yes.
He has. Now the NFL has as well when it comes to minority hiring, but it feels like for the first time in a long time, they're up against someone that, first of all, has to have evidence. I don't care what the NFL keeps saying. Like Brian Flores has literally torched his career. You're not doing that with nothing. And on top of that, again, a guy that's willing to torch his career to try and fight the good fight. Do you see anything changing from this? Do you see Brian Flores making any waves? Because the guy is not going away.
Well, I think Lovie Smith got the Texans job because of the Brian Flores lawsuit. If you remember, all the rumors were that the Texans wanted to hire Josh McCown, whose entire coaching experience had been being an assistant high school coach, and yet they wanted to hire him. And then all of a sudden, the lawsuit happens, and boom, Lovie Smith, who'd been the defensive coordinator, gets the job. So in that sense, I think it already had a positive effect. But obviously, there needs to be a lot more. I think Flores is going to go down the way Colin Kaepernick is going to go down, as someone who stood up, got knocked down professionally because he stood up. Although in Kaepernick's case, he didn't stand up; he took a knee. And who forced change, gradual change. Yeah. But made people, in Kaepernick's case, more aware of police behavior, and and I think Flores, even though the issue's been there for years and years and years, will go down as someone who made people more aware of the hypocrisy of NFL owners. Because I think now finally the focus is on owners. It's like when Flores got fired, and I wrote that this was another example of a black coach having a shorter leash than white coaches do. A number of people wrote and tweeted at me and stuff and said, well, Chris Greer is black. Well, Chris Greer had as much to say about the firing as you and I did. Yeah. And then people, well, Flores didn't get along with Chris Greer. That's what happens. There's always a campaign to prove that there are legitimate reasons. You know, the Kaepernick thing, you guys remember in 2017, all the anonymous quotes from NFL executives saying he couldn't play anymore. Yeah. That's why he's not on the team, because he's not a good player. Well, he was a starter the year before in San Francisco. And all of a sudden, he forgot how to play football at the age of 29. And the NFL's really good at this. Yep. Yeah. Because NFL media, most of whom are white, are very willing to accept, backdoor sources say stories. I mean, that's ESPN's business, is sources say stories. And so it will take a while, but I do think this will have a long-term effect.
Two people, and every time I see them appear on any kind of video, Dave Campo and Chris Greer, it should be accompanied by the song "I'm Your Puppet," or at least so it appears. I mean, Campo, you could see the strings coming from the box there, the luxury suite that Jerry was sitting in. John Feinstein with us here on the show. It's always great having John on the program. Many things to get to later on, and one of the other reasons that and your name popped up through this interview. We had a young lady on another platform, and she's going to join us later on today, named Megan Imbert, who is part of this suit, the sexual harassment and the mistreatment of women, misogynist nature of the now Commanders organization. And it was kind of explosive for me. I mean, I hadn't heard this before, but she was the production manager for the in-house video crew there. And she said that while she was excluded from these meetings, Dan Schneider personally was ordering underlings to go out and shoot these voyeurism, nude videos of the then Redskins cheerleaders, and then setting them to like Inagata Davida, which happened to be his favorite song. Which was, I hadn't heard that kind of direct testimony, or any kind of direct connection with Schneider. And as you've always been saying, he skates by. Does he skate on this? I guess would be the question. And to what extent do you believe what Megan Imbert is implying here?
Is there a number higher than 100%? This is part of the original Washington Post story that Larry Michael, who was the play-by-play guy at the time, and who has since, quote, retired, unquote, put together these various videos for Schneider of the team's cheerleaders when they were on their annual, calendar shoot. And it was very voyeuristic, obviously. And I hadn't heard about the music specifically, but look, Schneider is just he's a dirtbag. Let's put it that way.
You could use any language you want here on this platform.
In so many different ways.
Yeah.
And has been since day one. I mean, one of the first things he did when he became owner of the team was there was a woman who had worked in public relations as an assistant for something like 35 years for the team. I mean, dating back to Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
And she was, 20 years older than he was. So he called him Dan. And he fired her because he hadn't called her Mr. Schneider.
Wow.
And that's who this guy is. He's the classic Napoleonic bully. He honestly believes that having money makes you a better person than people who don't have money. And his wife is the same way. And, enough bad things professionally cannot happen to this guy as far as I'm concerned. But whether the NFL will ever have the guts to do something, that's a completely different question.
Of course, you're a Duke guy, and I would imagine, and a huge college basketball guy.
From Duke. I'm a Krzyzewski guy.
Yes, and I wanted to have you just kind of touch on the final year coaching by Krzyzewski. I was watching some Duke basketball last night against Virginia, which, by the way, I mean. Did they stop short of allowing Virginia to have foreign objects? I mean, how they suppress other teams' offenses is pretty incredible. But anyway, Duke prevails, and Coach K looks like he's on his way to being probably a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, maybe even higher. How would you characterize? I mean, if you could do the short version of the book, Coach K's career and your relationship with him.
Well, the shortest version I can do is he's been an extraordinary coach for a long, long time. I mean, remember, he's coached 47 years, 45 at Army, 42 at Duke.
Wow.
And people always talk about, well, would Red Auerbach be a great coach today? Would John Wooden be a great coach today? Would Vince Lombardi be a great coach today? And I believe the great coaches are great coaches because they adapt, because times change, and especially in college basketball. I mean, when Mike first started coaching, there was no shot clock. There was no such thing as a one and done. The players stayed 4 years, and now we've got a 30-second clock. We've got one and done. We've got the 3-point shot, which didn't exist when he first coached, and it's become a dominant part of the sport. And he has adapted through the years. He's rebooted himself on a number of occasions. He went to his first Final Four in 1986. Okay, that's 36 years ago. And he has a team that has the ability to go to the Final Four this year. Now, they could also go out in the second round because nobody's great. And I think any team, 1 or 2 seed, could go down early. Any 1 or 2 seed or 8 seed could make the Final Four. But he's bounced back from last year when COVID had a huge effect on his team and on their season. They're 24-4 now. They beat a good Virginia team last night. Virginia's always good because Tony Bennett's a great coach. And as far as my relationship with him, I first met him when he was coaching at Army. Actually, I'm so old I saw him play for about a night at Army when I was a kid. And I'll tell you this one story. I tell this story all the time because it's very simple way to sum up who Mike Krzyzewski is. My father died on Super Bowl Sunday in 2006, and the funeral was on Tuesday. And obviously, I got home Tuesday night after everything was over. I was drained and exhausted. And Duke was playing North Carolina that night, 9 o'clock game, of course. And I sat down to watch and fell sound asleep. Only time I slept through a Duke Carolina game. And I woke up with about a minute to go, and Duke ended up winning. Close game, of course. And when the game was over, I sat down at my computer because, I knew I wasn't going to sleep at that point. And 45 minutes later, the phone rang, and it was Krzyzewski. And he said, I just wanted to let you know that when I stepped into our last huddle with 30 seconds left, whatever it was, I looked up at the sky and I said, Martin, this one's for you.
Wow.
I don't even know how he knew my dad's name was Martin. But the point was he was thinking about me, and he took the time to call, figuring I'd be awake after the game, because he wanted me to know that, he felt some of my pain. And his dad had died when he was in college. His mom died in 1996. So he'd been through it with both his parents. And that's who Mike is. And I've always said, when people say, give me 1 cent on Mike Krzyzewski, I say he's a better person than he is a coach. He's a pretty damn good coach.
Beautiful story. John Feinstein with us here. Just a couple more things, if you have a minute or so left with us. Always appreciate your time here on the show. And and an aside, because I know you're a huge college basketball fan. I finally booked a bucket list thing. I'm going out to Vegas for the first weekend, starting Thursday, of the NCAA tournament. Everybody says that's like the greatest place to view it, aside from maybe being at the game and sitting on the bench.
Right.
But, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm starting to, get into college basketball a little bit more. So I'll have at least some idea what the hell I'm doing when I'm throwing my money away. And do you think that when Iona takes the floor, if they make it to the tournament, that Rick Pitino will have a player introduced as being from parts unknown? Because where he got these guys and how he's doing this is beyond me. I know he was over in Greece there, and down in baklava and sake or whatever they drink. But he, how he found this worldwide roster, and actually, you can never discount this guy.
Well, no, I mean, there are 2 points there. The first one is that Rick is a great basketball coach. He just is. It doesn't matter where he coaches. He got Iona to the tournament last year. It looks like they'll get to the tournament this year. And wherever he's been, 2 things have happened. He wins, and the school gets in trouble. People at Maryland are talking about trying to hire him. And I've said 2 things. One, he'll be 70 next year. Wow. Not sure that's how you rebuild the program.
Now, John, go easy on us here, septuagenarians.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not like I'm that much younger than that. But no one is offering to hire me as a college basketball coach.
Yeah.
But number 2, Rick comes with more baggage than a 747. He's gotten in trouble everywhere he's gone in one way, form or another. So that's who Rick is. And as far as the players, that's today's college game. Yeah. I mean, you look at rosters now. I mean, there are players from everywhere in the world. I'm doing a game on Saturday between UMBC and Maine. And literally my play-by-play guy said to me the other day, I don't know how I'm going to do the game because Maine doesn't have a single starter whose name I can pronounce. Because, it's not like a lot of basketball players come out of Maine.
Doc Emmerich is going to call the game.
Do what Pitino's done, search the world for basketball players.
Yeah. Pretty incredible. All right, well, we'll let you run, John. Been very generous with your time. Always great. And best of luck with Faraday. That sounds like it'll be a blast. I mean, I don't know that you could have a bad time hanging out with David Faraday. And
no, you really can't. I mean, David is always entertaining and he's so smart and so funny, and his life story is remarkable. So I don't know if I'll write a good book because that's on me, but I know I'll have plenty of material.
I'm a big fan of interview shows, as you might imagine. That was a great interview show, the Faraday Golf Show.
It was a great show. It was so well. He got Bill Clinton on the show. He got George W. Bush on the show.
McConaughey.
Every golfer who ever mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he got everybody and did a hell of a job when he got them.
No, it was a lot of fun. All right, John, thanks so much.
Really quickly.
Yes.
I'll say this really quickly.
Okay.
His oldest son died of a drug overdose in
Yes.
2017. He said the first phone call he got was from Bill Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah,
A lot of things about both of them.
That's impressive.
yeah, very. What he did as a member of the media, I guess, that sort of path was started by Gary McCord, who unfortunately was shut down by the stuff shirts there at Augusta National, but and a spineless CBS crew that didn't back him up because the guy was great and a lot of fun. In
By the way, it was
otherwise,
Gary who discovered David as an announcer. That's a longer story for another day.
just like I discovered Lubie. I mean, I feel the same way. I have a little McCord.
Yeah, I was gonna say that equivalent.
Something you brag about, Jeff.
John, thanks again.
We
I
love you,
can't
John.
thank you enough for joining
All
us
right,
here on the
guys.
show.
Good to talk to you always.
Thanks.
All right. John Feinstein, ladies and gentlemen. You can cover a lot of ground with Feinstein, man. I mean,
He's best.
and he's our special featured guest, I guess you would have to say, in the first hour of the Highland Park Trivia Challenge. All right, we're going to do some challenge. We also have Legarrette Blount coming up on the program, and we have Megan Imbert, who, as we said, and John Feinstein, he's not a big fan of Dan Snyder's. Have you gathered that?
No, it's great.
Through the many conversations we've had with Feinstein, but brilliant as always, man. I mean, what a great storyteller, this guy. No wonder he's written. Now it's going to be 45 books. Imagine that. That's a prop bet. Number of books written by John Feinstein versus number of points scored by Steph Curry in the All-Star game, and I lose with 44 and a hook. All right, coming up with more in a moment. Highland Park, just a great place to go. You'll always enjoy yourself there. The poker room, fantastic. I mean, we sort of don't talk about it enough, how wonderful it is, because people love playing poker, Lubie. My son, I mean, I was talking to him about and congratulating him on his success now with CPA. He's got his second job with his CPA license, and, it's a very lucrative one. I mean, the kid's making more money than I am at this point, right? That's when you know that you're getting old, when your son is making way more money than you. Either that or maybe the career isn't going so well. But no, I mean, I was congratulating him on his success, and he said, you know what, though? I probably wouldn't have minded being a professional poker player either. Right?
Really?
Kid, I don't know if he always wins, but every time I'm with him, he's winning money. It's insane, yeah. But, he has the family. It's probably a more responsible thing and far less of a gamble, to tell other people what they need to pay up to the IRS, right? Yes. You're just basically somewhat of an agent for Uncle Sam there, but you're on the side of the people. You're sort of defending their rights to keep their money, if you're really good at your job. So anyway, he's a very, big-time poker player, and I told him, Highland Park, good place to go, man. The room's great. All kinds of games. You don't want to play high stakes in there? I'm all in, please. Or maybe you're just tossing around a conversation with a bunch of guys, having a couple of drinks and watching some games on the TV screens, which are prominent. They really did it right. I mean, everything they do at Highland Park is first class. Whether you're talking about the casino, the Champions simulcasting room, which is great. A lot of racing action today, people. Very tempted to go. Or one voice in my head is saying go, and the other voice is reminding me about how badly I got annihilated the last time I was at a racetrack. I mean, I got mowed over, Lubie. So anyway, win or lose, you're going to have a good time at Highland Park. They always treat you like a champ there, whether it's at Champions or in the casino or the poker room or anywhere else, the restaurants, the dining spots. Fantastic. If you're just there for the entertainment, it's great. Get a player's card. You're going to love it. All the amenities they give you and all of the freebies they provide for you when you have a player's card at beautiful Highland Park. All right, coming back with a lot more later on in the second hour of the program. Should happen around 8:35 Eastern. Our interview, we're going to reprise our interview with Megan Imbert. She's going to join us live here on Ion Channel. Very excited about that. And we'll have the full video component along with it. And we'll play some Highland Park Trivia Challenge if we can here on the show as well. So get ready. You can dial us up at 954-417-0070. And we'll try and get into that as we continue in just a moment on Ion Channel. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:51. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Very glad to have Rob Schneider, extraordinary comedian, with us here on the program.
My dad was Jewish. My mom's Filipino. It's like the perfect storm of small penises.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
If you're thinking about the breeding on that, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to make any controversial comments here on the show, but maybe you did have a point. That's all I'll say. All right, welcome back to the show. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge always takes place on these Thursdays. We have a little hybrid edition today because we wanted to accommodate the time that we had with John Feinstein, who happened to be in town. Lubie gets a hold of him. I don't know. There was a lot more there on the plate that we could have covered with John Feinstein also, because I wanted to get into more detail with him. He would be naturally well-versed and probably have some very, astute comments about this whole golf thing that's going on, which is kind of interesting, Lubie. The Saudis, they're ready to put any amount of money in there. They were trying to wreck the PGA Tour. They were going to take all of their top players and entice them with ridiculous monetary offers. But now are you very much like the International Olympic Committee and selling your soul to the devil? What do you think, Lubie?
Yeah. I mean, Saudi Arabia is not really the most modern place in the world. Like, I'm sure they're doing if China's treating people badly, I don't know what the hell's going on in Saudi Arabia. So yes, you would be doing whatever you can for yourself to ignore reality. But again, the NBA, which is full of players who love to talk about, equality and whatnot, got real quiet when it came to China. So, I mean, if they can do it, I guess, why not golfers?
It really was. I mean, that was a disgrace on the part of LeBron James, who, is trumpeting all of these important causes. And you're thinking, all right, I'm glad the guy has an opinion. May not agree with all of them, but, it was good to see somebody taking an active interest in maybe bringing about some form of positive change, whether it was socially, in terms of the human condition, whatever. But then again, as soon as the idea that the sneaker money was going to be compromised, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay.
Exactly.
My, oh my, what a wonderful day here. We're here for the Winter Games in Beijing, and everything is just absolutely beautiful out there. Look at that snow falling from the sky. All right, here we go. Trivia challenge. We'll get into it, and we'll play a couple of people. And we do have some exciting stuff coming up in the second hour of this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge as well, kind of a hybrid edition. But I'm going to go ahead and toss out the first set of questions. And if you'd like to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Are you ready, Mike Lubitz? Okay.
Yes.
Not going to begin in the traditional fashion, although the Polyman has vowed to be with us next week. How about that? Polyman, next week. Over, under, next week. What are you saying, Lubie?
This week, I can't blame him because we stuffed the show with a lot of things, so he gets a pass.
Well, we went in a different direction a little bit this week just because of opportunity that we had.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a radio row show.
Yeah.
So, and it's fun. Our listeners love this stuff, and we love doing it, so it's cool.
How could you not enjoy that conversation with Johnny Feinstein? The guy's brilliant.
Well, and then Legarrette Blount, who's really cool, and then Megan Imbert, who's scintillating with what she's talking about. So
this is interesting.
Sure we get some trivia challenge in, and then next week we'll get back to getting an hour in, and I presume Polyman will hopefully be back.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's going to join us next week. All right, here we go. So I don't have the easy baseball question, But here's our opening quote. After an especially tough loss, this college coach explained his reaction by saying, "It's kind of like watching your mother-in-law go off a cliff in your brand new Cadillac. You've got mixed feelings about it." What's that? Bob Green, Mean Joe Green, CeeLo Green, or I don't know if you remember this lady, Meg Green. She was a big radio financial advisor back in the early days of my tenure here. Meg Green. We'll throw her in as one of the choices. All right, let's spin a scrambler here. We have a player, and it is a classic, of course. I mean, who better to follow John Feinstein than Lenny the Chronic? This is the only show where you'll find something like that happening. You go right from John Feinstein, distinguished author, to Lenny the Chronic, trivia king, a monster trivia player. Lenny, how are you? Good to have you on the show. Thanks for calling in.
I'm good. That was a great interview. I love John Feinstein, man. That guy's great.
Oh, yeah. Anytime he wants to come on. That's kind of why we sort of swung some things around. He was available at 7:20 today, and we definitely wanted to have him on the program. All right. True or false?
Yeah.
Xavier Pinson, the LSU point guard, Xavier Pinson, is the grandson of former Major League Baseball great Vada Pinson. True or false?
Let's go true.
No, that's false. I made that up. But if it is true, I'm unaware of it. So I'm going to count that as a loss for you, Lenny. You have 1 point going for 4. All right. Legarrette Blount is going to join us in a few minutes here on the program. Conversation we had with Legarrette Blount. He was undrafted. This for 3 points. He was undrafted. He played in 2010 through 2012 with the Buccaneers. And the question is, Lenny the Chronic, for 3 points, off of whose roster or from whom did the Buccaneers take Legarrette Blount off the practice squad? Was it Detroit, Philadelphia, St. Louis, or Tennessee?
It sounds like something Detroit would blow. Let's go with Detroit.
Great deduction there, but unfortunately incorrect. Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans signed him to a practice squad deal. He was on a practice squad and then got picked up and actually bounced around quite a bit for a guy that won 3 Super Bowls. He won 2 with the Buccaneers, and then
that was good.
And not with the Buccaneers, 2 with the Patriots.
That guy in the face.
Yeah. No, he was, a guy who had his issues, but he's calmed down now because of his CBD. I mean, actually, he is physical proof that what he's saying is the truth, that this isn't one of those things you see at 4 a.m. there with the doctor and some, host is feeding the guy questions about stuff that can make sure that you never have joint pain again. All right, you're going for 6 points here, Lenny. This will be Coach K's final year coaching at Duke. All right, we all know that. He began his career there in 1980, replacing what coach who held a job before him?
Oh, great question.
Was that Bucky Waters, Neil McGeechee, Bill Foster, or Vic Bubbis?
Wow. Let's go with Bubbis.
Bubbis was a coach at Duke. All of them were at one time, but Bill E. Foster, I guess, is not to be confused with what? The other Bill Foster guy that coached at Miami for a brief period of time? Was also like a Virginia coach? Anyway, he was the coach at Duke for like 6 years before Coach K got there. All right, Lenny, you laid an egg, but I think you're going to end up in the finals somehow anyway, so stick around. Yeah, so, don't go too far away, and we'll be back in touch if we're able to squeeze in a final session. Otherwise, I think, Lubie, we universally award prizes to everybody who played the game today. How about that? All right, we'll have a little more trivia challenge coming up. I have some more questions for you. Legarrette Blount is going to join us here, that guy that was picked off the Tennessee Titans practice squad and ended up having a very distinguished career after starting out in the NFL with the Bucs. He's got a CBD thing going, and you know what? I would have to say, I mean, if you read about naturally the most unflattering things about you pop up on any kind of internet. If you're looking up a person's history, right? Well, what are the first few things that show up? It's not like, well, he's a great guy and everybody loves him. It's usually, well, he was arrested in 1994 for punching a guy in a bar. So anyway, you want to continue and just go ahead and run through the entire game here, Lubie?
And they both can get landlubber's gift certificates. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Let's fire off another set of questions then. All right, that's okay with me. One of my favorites here of all time, and I think it's a classic. Asked why he was still playing soccer well past his prime, this legendary soccer star said, "I spent 90% of my money on women and drink, and the rest I wasted." Was that? I think the quote also has an extrapolation where he says, "The rest I bet on the New York Knicks." Was that George Best, Pete Best, Jerry West, or Robin West? Of course, the esteemed Robin West of publicity fame got us Lawrence Taylor at the Super Bowl. We have Ron. Ron's going to play the game. Ron, not much to beat there in terms of Lenny, who tallied all of 1 point. How are you, Ron? Good to have you on the show.
Lenny's a slacker. So let's go with A.
A's correct. You're in the game here, and you're already tied with Lenny. So, all right, true or false? Jacob Toppin of the University of Kentucky basketball team is the brother of New York Knick Obi Toppin. True or false?
Let's go true.
It is true. Yes, he's his younger brother and was in the ball game last night. See, and so was Xavier Pinson there, Louis. So I'm doing my research on the college basketball. I am not going to be an uninformed, uneducated, irresponsible, gambling sicko degenerate when I start betting college basketball, which I never bet on.
I was going to say, you don't care about college basketball.
Never. Once in a blue moon, I mean, probably put a couple of bucks on the championship game, or although we've talked about it, and Jersey Kyle, of course, the legendary whiff, when he didn't lay a dime on the University of Connecticut as he pegged them to win the Big East tournament that year, and they went all the way and won the whole NCAA championship, coming from the clouds. Yep. All right, 2 for 2 here, Ron, and still alive for the sweep. Now with 501 NHL goals, Sidney Crosby ranks 45th on the all-time NHL goals scored list. Currently 1 goal behind what player who is in 44th position? Is that Joe Mullen, Peter Bondra, Jean Béliveau, or Gilbert Perreault? For 3 points.
Let's go C.
Jean Béliveau. No, it was not the great fabled Montreal Canadian. Actually, it was the least illustrious and sexy of names among those players. Joe Mullen sits 1 goal ahead at 5:02, although I don't know, maybe Crosby scored last night, and that question becomes somewhat irrelevant. All right. Going for 7 points now. In the highest scoring NBA All-Star game ever, it took place in 2017. What player set All-Star game records for total points with 52 and points in a quarter with 20? Was that Kevin Durant, James Harden, Anthony Davis, or Kawhi Leonard?
Let's go James Harden.
It was not Harden. It was Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis had 52, 20 points in 1 quarter, and still holds the record, even though Steph Curry was shooting from the Coke machine, and everything that he shot went in. It was amazing.
Ron is our winner with 2 points.
Oh, he gets an automatic win with 2 for getting the true false correct? Good job, Ron. All right, you're heading to Landlubbers. I don't know. You probably have a closet full of gift certificates to Landlubbers also. So if Lubie stiffs you on that, it could be understood. All right, thanks for playing the game. I appreciate it. Lenny got aced out there by Ron for getting a true-false question.
Back-to-back weeks, Lenny's been a total disaster. I don't know what's going on with him.
See, was it obvious that this guy was Obi Toppin's brother?
Yes, that was the one. I was like, okay, I would have gotten the other one. I was like, that's probably not a relation.
Vada Pinson. I loved Vada Pinson, man. He was a great ball player, man. Smooth as silk. You don't see these kind of guys so much anymore. Vada Pinson. Class, too. A class, dignified guy. Really a great player. And checked out a long time ago. I didn't realize how long he's been gone. Although, who's paying attention, right? Am I the only guy that reads the obituary column every day?
Yes.
Because I'm in this stupid Deadpool. Bradshaw still looks good, huh?
You're doing it for results.
When Aikman leaves, Bradshaw's going to be in a booth now.
Probably.
Right? As Troy Aikman bails out and supposedly has a deal that is about to be signed with ESPN to do Monday Night Football. Is there that great of a fascination with what Troy Aikman says as a color analyst on games?
He's just standard. He's not as bad. Like, he's not annoying like Romo. He's just, I mean, he's standard. And he has that Dallas Cowboy 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Good-looking kid, no question about it. I mean, makes a great physical presence there on TV, right? Looks good on camera, as they say.
Yeah, and he knows when to get in and out, and he says just enough. He's not bad. He's just not. There's
not a lot of character. I mean, involved there. What happened to color in color analysis? In other words, you're supposed to be able to illuminate things, correct?
Yes. You have an opinion. It's okay to have somewhat of an opinion, be high or low on plays. Everything's just information.
Do I need you to tell me, that, well, you know what? He bailed out again with the screen pass there because there's nothing downfield. I don't know.
I can see that.
They're paying guys like goofy money for this, though. Romo's, I mean, it's always great that this happens sometimes in this sort of entertainment form of business, especially, in different forms of radio, TV, whatever, where, some guy gets some kind of deal and then everybody drafts in behind. It's much like, that's why is Phil complaining, right? You think he would be worth the money he is today if it wasn't for Tiger Woods?
No, Tiger. That's why the PGA players we thought were scared and couldn't stand Tiger. They love Tiger because he set a standard. He brought more money.
He raised. I mean, he could only endorse so many automobile lines. Tiger Woods, right? After the fifth one, it became incredible, or not credible,
not
right?
Credible.
So I mean, if you're Kia, who are you calling? Hey, who's next on the list? Okay, get me Phil on the phone, will you? And Phil says, well, they're giving Tiger $100 million. I tell you what, I'll take 60. To be in these positions would be great. Yeah, and Phil's crying. He's the one that's crying the most that the PGA Tour has tortured him throughout his entire life. Okay. He's taking time away now. Wow, I mean, is he losing it? What happened to him?
I think he's he's done. And like when guys get out of being in the public eye, they don't know what to do with themselves.
I mean, he was the American Monty at one point, and then he became a very beloved character because of these tenacious battles he had with Woods.
Yep.
They had one at Doral one year. I was doing a radio show outside the 17th hole, and or wherever. I was somewhere positioned on the course, and they were coming around on the back nine of what was just an absolute golf bloodbath. And it was so exciting. I mean, even though I couldn't see the action, I mean, they had a monitor there that I was able to watch it on, but you could feel the pulse of the crowd, even in a wide open space like the Doral Blue Monster. It was tremendous. And then people really grew a little bit of an affinity for Phil Mickelson, did they not? He became a very popular guy.
Yeah, he was the likable one. Tiger was the douche, and he was the likable one.
Yeah.
One that actually stood in the way of Tiger when he seemed like an indomitable force.
Right.
And
a lot of people got crushed in that role. David Duval, remember him, man?
He lost a career. He couldn't.
I mean, he's like mumbling, old English poetry. I mean, walking around in a daze. Remember when he was impaled to a cactus there? They had that nighttime one-on-one where they lined up automobiles to, try and create enough, speaking of illumination, create enough light so they could play golf. All right, we better run. We have a lot of ground to cover here. Megan Imbert's going to join us later on. That should be very, very interesting, people. We've been talking about this interview for a couple of days here on the show. It kind of surprised us, some of the things that she was saying, and yet I understand that these assertions are very much in the public as part of this lawsuit, which Leslie Visser believes that she is a part of also. Not Leslie, but Megan.
Megan's involved. She's been very vocal about how she's involved.
And wow, who better to go to than Feinstein earlier in the program, who was with the Washington Post breaking this story.
He wrote it, yep.
Wow. How did we do this, Lubie? What happened? We're becoming distinguished journalists here on the program and squeezing in Lenny the Chronic.
That's the best. That's why we are who we are. We get some Lenny, we get some Ron, and then we get Legarrette Blount and John Feinstein.
All right, Legarrette Blount's coming up next. Is that the direction we're going in here, Mr. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill? Because, that's where we want to be going. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, that's going to be great. You see, I mean, thank you, Amy, for putting a visual to the show here. If you guys are watching the video stream, which I hope, is catching on and gaining ground rapidly, as the great track announcer Bob Savage used to say. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, and it is everything that is portrayed in that video. And in fact, I don't even know if that tells the whole story about how great it is, because I didn't see any of the simmering steam coming off that Italian fisherman pizza, right? And you're thinking, yeah, I could go for something like that. I've had a couple of cocktails here. Let me chow down on a pizza. And then it's not just like any pizza. You were at a great place yesterday, the Pizza Spot with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, who'll be with us tomorrow. And Portnoy walked in, right? David Portnoy.
I guess I picked up a pizza before we even got there.
Yeah.
And I guess he does a pizza. I didn't even know he does this pizza.
He does a one-bite pizza test.
Which Mayo was not the biggest fan of, by the way.
No, Mayo's very picky, though. You know how Mayo is.
Well, it's sort of, as a critic, he was thinking it's sort of half-assed the way he criticizes.
You don't think Mayo's ever taken some meatball and just taken a bite out of it and then just fired it into the trash? Come on, Mike.
So anyways, he walked up with the pizza, looked very happy, so that's cool. And Mayo shouted, "How is it?" And he got in his car, "Good," and then drove away.
Oh, okay.
To have a long conversation with the man that I'm actually not a big fan of, but could probably have helped our careers a little.
I mean, billions of dollars. This guy, he employs our guy Stu Feiner, man, who we discovered or rediscovered. I don't know that we discovered Stu. Stu kind of discovered himself, huh?
He's his own.
He is a hoot, man, but he was doing too much cocaine when he was on with us. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Legarrette Blount going to join us. He's doing a thing with CBD, and he's calmed down, has he not? I mean, it was all of a sudden we were on Kung Fu, right? Listen, grasshopper, you will feel no pain. That's coming up. And then Megan Imbert, very, very interesting interview. And we're expecting it to be more of the same with the video and audio. We can bring you here on Ion Channel with Megan Imbert, former production manager of the in-house video crew with the Washington Redskins and now Commanders, and points a finger right at Dan Schneider and says, he did it. It's him. It's you, Dan. So that was very interesting. All right, coming back with that and more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
We say Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Key Largo. It's 8:13.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Told you everything I know. I told him everything I know. I have no explanation for what happened. I don't have an explanation for what happened.
There is nothing better than Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
Pleasure, because there was always that guy, and as soon as I heard this gentleman was coming on our program here, I thought back to my days of recreational football when a kid named Joey Venata lived in my neighborhood, and Joey Venata was the guy that he would be running the football, and 30 little kids would be on his back, and the pile would just keep moving the entire field until he made his way into the end zone and spiked the football. And we have a gentleman that really pretty much was the epitome of that in his NFL career. The great Legarrette Blount joins us here on the program. 3-time Super Bowl champion and now champion of another cause, which I think is very relatable to the people that listen to and watch the show here on the audio and video stream. Legarrette Blount, welcome to the show. Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. Now, when you were up there in the border of Central Florida there in Madison, what were you that guy? Did you carry the entire neighborhood on your back into the end zone on any given play in the schoolyard?
So funny thing about that is, so I was born in Madison.
Yeah.
But I only stayed there for like a week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably a good move too. I mean,
I moved to Perry, Taylor County, where I went to high school and like grew up and stuff. Probably about 25 minutes away from Madison. Yeah, I moved there immediately after.
Oh, very good. And was that your history as a running back that you literally would carry the neighborhood all the way into the end zone? From like the 1 yard line, you get the ball and go 99 yards down the field with like 30 guys on top of you.
When you play sandlot football, it's always going to be about 2 or 3 guys that are really, really good. Yeah. And then everybody else just kind of fall in line. Yeah, that was me.
All right, went on to a great achievement and accomplishment as a college player and as a professional player, of course. And I think best known for your Super Bowl wins and, of course, the time that you spent with the Patriots, although it was not consecutive, right? I mean, you bounced around quite a bit from team to team in spite of all of your great achievements.
Yeah, man, I had a blast, obviously, with New England. I had a blast, obviously, just in general, being in the league and just being able to have an opportunity to be out there.
And I was watching a piece yesterday, and it was about opioid use in the professional sports ranks, baseball, football, all different sports were involved in it. And
I'm trying to get you guys so that you can see me really well.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. No, you're looking good, kid. You're looking real good. Legarrette Blount with us here on the program. And there were some horror stories related to painkillers and things of that nature that were being pushed by not just pro teams, but college teams. And they had any number of horror stories about how athletes have to contend and deal with pain and the really unfortunate methods that are being used to, I don't know if you even want to call it treat these various ailments. And you're involved now. And it's funny, Legarrette, because I want to say 10 years ago, we had Jake the Snake Plumber on a show.
And he started, that's my guy.
Yeah, he started spouting off about CBD oil. And I'm thinking, I like weed, but I like the THC. I don't know about this stuff without it. But it's now proven. And obviously, there are many testimonials to the idea that this is very, very valuable in terms of pain relief. Yeah, okay. But tell us about the CBD and LG's Feel Good is the company you're involved with.
So I got into I entered this obviously, man, like you said, the opioids and the pills and all that stuff is just man, I think it just destroys your body. Every single pill you take, man, it just destroys your body more and more. And I know how opioids are and how they feel and how they, obviously can be pretty addicting. A lot of guys that I played with got addicted to these pain pills, to these sleeping pills, to these anxiety pills. And, these are just 3 things. These are 3 different things that you have to deal with. And they give you 3 different pills for it. Granted, this is no bash against the NFL or any other professional organization or anything like that. But, I mean, obviously they know that these things can have long-lasting effects, and so for the most part, what I wanted to do was just make sure that I had a product that you can heal, that you can deal with pain and stuff naturally, and not have to take any kind of pills for it. So that's why I developed LG's Feel Good, so that whenever you have to deal with any pain or any discomfort or anything like that, you can use these pain patches. You can use the salve. You can use the rollerball. So my products are all natural. They're all organic. They're all THC free. Sorry about that, my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can make amends for that now with the medical marijuana card.
They're all natural and they're all organic, man. And I think that's the best way to heal. And I think that's the best way to take care of your body. And that's that's the most natural way to deal with any kind of pain, any kind of sleep deprivation, or any kind of sleep problems, or any kind of anxiety. Because my other 2 products are also a sleep gummy and an anxiety tincture. Those are the things that I dealt with personally growing up and just being a part of the NFL for as long as I was. Those are the things that I dealt with, and these helped me out tremendously. I definitely had a problem sleeping growing up. It got worse as I got older and had to get to the point to where I have to study on the iPad, study the playbook, learn the plays. It got worse because I'm somebody that I wanna go out there and be fully prepared whenever I go to a game or whenever I go to practice or whatever. So if I have to stay up for an extra hour or two to study these plays and stuff like that, I'm gonna always do that. And sometimes I just couldn't shut my brain off. So that was big for me. So that's kind of why I came up with all these products. Is these are different ways of dealing with pain, dealing with sleep, dealing with anxiety, rather than it having to be a pill all the time.
In that, how receptive have the leagues been? Because we know it's funny, you get popped for marijuana, but it's okay to have Oxycontin. Like one's better for your body than the other, and one has much less long-lasting effects. How receptive have the leagues been to CBD getting entered and replacing Oxycontin and some of these other really major pharmaceuticals?
I think that like you said, some of these things have really, really bad long-lasting effects. Some of them they can cause liver failure. They can cause heart problems in the long run. They can cause all these different problems in the long run. And the last thing, obviously the last thing they're going to tell you in the NFL, and this is no knock against the league, and this is no hate against the league or any of that, but the last thing they're going to tell you is, hey man, before I give you this pill, 5 or 10 years from now,
exactly.
I know I'm giving you this pill every week for 16 weeks.
Exactly.
I'm giving you these 3 pills every week for 16 weeks. And then in 5 or 10 years from now, you're probably gonna have stomach problems, liver problems, heart problems, and you're not gonna know where they stem from. You're just gonna chalk it up to old age. Oh, I'm 10 years older now. Maybe that's the problem. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys keep themselves in pretty good shape. A lot of these guys stay pretty healthy, and they still hit these liver problems, and they still have these internal problems because of all the opioids and pills they've been taking. They destroy the inner lining of your stomach and everything. Like the league isn't going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. It'll hurt. It'll hurt. The whole program in general, the whole NFL. Like, if guys all went to CBD for pain, CBD for sleeping, CBD for anxiety and stuff like that, man, there might not be no need for doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are just pretty much giving you a prescription to go get these drugs and telling you whenever you run out, come back and see me. And that's what they're doing. It's not like they're like treating you. Oh man, you seem like you got depression, or you seem like you're dealing with this or that. You go tell them, hey man, I'm dealing with this, that, and other. Okay, cool. They're not going to like go through the process of seeing if you're actually dealing with this, that, and the other. They're just going to give you the pills.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That was a very sad story there on HBO Real Sports. And, I keep picturing James Woods in the movie with Al Pacino Any Given Sunday.
Exactly.
And, he's giving LT whatever it is he needs to get out there in the field, which wasn't much, as we know, in real life when you were talking about the real Lawrence Taylor. Well, all very noble. Curious, in your NFL career, Legarrette Blount, and people often ask this question, and you were part of this 20-year dynastic era of New England Patriot football, and then had the opportunity to play for a variety of other teams. In your estimation, what is it that makes, was it just Brady or Belichick, or what is it about the organization, the New England Patriots, that kept them on top, as opposed to so many other organizations that always seem to be taking a blind stab at winning a championship, but have been unable to do it? What separated the Patriots in your eyes from the other teams in terms of the way they did their business?
Man, I think what separates the Patriots is the fact that they take it really serious, man. Football is life, and obviously a lot of teams say that, and a lot of guys say that when they get there, but it takes on a whole new meaning when you get to New England, because they do take it extremely serious. And they're going to make sure that you know like this is what we're expecting. This is what we're expecting from you, and these are our expectations for the season. If yours don't align with ours, then you need to let us know now, because we'll get you up out of here. So that's just one thing. That's in Bill's approach. I just think his approach is unmatched. You know what I'm saying? He gets so much respect from players before ever even meeting them. You know what I'm saying? So that just, that kind of plays in their favor as well. Whereas then you go to a different organization and you have a head coach that's only, 2 years in or 3 years in. They got to garner the respect of the football team and of the other guys. People respect Bill off the rip, whether they plan for the organization or not. Especially when you go to the organization, you get the feeling. They'll tell you. They're going to be pretty blatant and transparent about what they want and what they expect. But the feeling is different whenever you go over there. Just the fact that they're going to make a playoff run. Always entices you to go out there and give it everything you got so that you can be a part of something special.
All right, well, we're hoping you'll send us a package because I'm about to go for my little 4-mile walk of life here, and I have to say I'm in a little bit of agony here, being an old geezer. I could use some of this stuff. LG's Feel
I got
Good.
you, man. Let me send you a care pack, bro. I got you.
Let's go.
Can you get a courier to send them down from the north part of the state right now? That'd be great. Hey, Legarrette, great having you on the show. Best of luck with this, because it really is something that it was funny, because when Plummer was on with us about, I want to say like 10 years ago, talking about this, you thought, wow, this
And
guy's
think about that.
He's lost it, like he was talking stuff that was out of the Twilight Zone, and now very much on it. And I'm glad you got involved in this. Yeah, and thanks so much.
Zone.
Yeah, thanks so much for being with us. Best of luck with everything you're doing with the products.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. Just appreciate it so much. Make sure you guys go to lgsfeelgood.com and order the products. They're the best CBD products in the country. All natural, all organic, THC free. Hey, my kids even take these sleep gummies, man. My daughter take the anxiety drops because she just feels like she can't live. She's 14 now, the stresses of a 14-year-old,
Yes. Well, there's all kinds of anxiety.
They love them. She says that it helps her get throughout her school. That means she's in high school now, so she feels like, she says it helps her get through the day without like freaking out whenever they throw piles of homework and stuff at her. So. Nice. And she's avid when it comes to she's a stickler when it comes to taking getting her sleep. So she makes sure she get her sleep gummies in every night. She's a 9 o'clocker.
All right, I'm gonna have Lubie send you my address here. We'll be looking at the mailbox every day.
I'm gonna send both of you guys a care pack, man.
It'd be beautiful.
You're not gonna turn back after you try these products. I promise you.
Nice. All right, and I hope you'll come back many times and talk some football with us as well. Legarrette Blount, pleasure having you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, he was that guy, was he not? Mike Lubitz that carried like 6 guys in the sandlots on his back into the end zone. Legarrette Blount. Did you get him our address by any chance?
I will be definitely doing that.
I mean, at 70, everything hurts. There's nothing that doesn't hurt. Your eyelids hurt when you open them up. You're just hoping they both open, on any given day. So, and it wouldn't be the first time I got some kind of package that involved any kind of abstract of marijuana in the mail. So that'd be cool. All right, we're coming back with a lot more and looking very much forward to bringing you this interview that we've been talking about for the last couple of days here on the show. Megan Imbert is a young lady's name, and she was the production manager for the in-house video crew for the then Washington Redskins, worked for the organization for several years, and was involved in this lawsuit claiming that the women and many women in the organization have been victimized by just unrelenting harassment and demeaning, behavior on the part of the men in the organization, going all the way up to the top, the very top, with Dan Schneider. Now, the Redskins organization was fined a total of $10 million, $5 million going to charity, $5 million in punitive fine. After the in-house investigation that was conducted, that the only guy that really got fried in that thing was John Gruden, correct? No other names were mentioned.
Anything out of the entire thing. It's classic.
Yeah. Guy's coaching the Raiders. He's not even involved, right? It was Gruden all along. I mean, so very interesting. I mean, you talk about finding a scapegoat out of that. And Gruden's assertions, and he has a lawsuit that probably, I don't know, who has more likelihood of winning their lawsuit? John Gruden for having his public image and his career completely tossed into the trash heap because these emails that were supposed to be private were released by the NFL, only releasing those and nothing. I mean, Dan Schneider had zero communications involved in that period of time, Lubie.
Oh, please.
Thousands and thousands of emails that they poured through where they found John Gruden to be, as we said, a pigskin version of John Rocker.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Megan's going to join us here in just a few minutes on the show. I think you guys are really going to find her testimony about all of this quite riveting, as we did. And so looking very much forward to that on this Highland Park Trivia Challenge, the only show that can bring you some hard-hitting journalism and at the same time bring you Ron and Lenny the Chronic in a competition. It was a verbal bloodbath back and forth there as Ron aces out Lenny by getting a true-false question correct. What Lubie thought was just an absolute layup. I mean, you talk about lobbing one in there. Come on, Feiner, give me something I can hit. Oh, God. Between Stu Feiner and Eddie Feiner, where else are you going to find this kind of stuff? All right, Megan Imbert should be nowhere. I guess that's the, that may be the question and the answer right there.
You're alone.
Sorry, Jack. I didn't tell you it was going to be brilliant, all of it. All right, we're coming back with Megan Imbert. That's going to be very, very interesting, I think, for all of you people out there that are watching the video and, of course, listening on the audio stream here on Ion Channel on a Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, returning in just a couple of minutes. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:33. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Highland Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Highland Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Jason Taylor, by the way, welcome to the show.
Now we have to get Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
How is he not? Well, that ain't happening. Yeah.
Uh-oh, gotta go.
You'd have to buy the stadium. Can you make enough money in autographs?
Buy the stadium. I can't even buy a Coke at that stadium or Pepsi, whatever they sell over there.
Jason, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
for stopping by. Jason Taylor with us here on Radio Row for Super Bowl 54. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Now that
he wins.
Oh, I tried to beat you to it.
There.
I'm gonna let you do it. Okay, back with more in a moment.
Now that
The time.
there it is.
It's 9:31. You got to get
There
the time.
you go. My bad. I forgot 9:31.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Well, it's not quite so long from the Sunshine State, Mike Lubitz, but that Jason Taylor distinguished us by actually wanting to jump in and give our signature segment sign out. and outro. What was absolutely, I mean, it was a mark of distinction for the show, was it not? Mike, Lubie, Lubitz. All right, we're trying to connect with Megan Imbert, and that should happen shortly. I see Lubie frantically working. You can actually, what's great about this is you can see the panic on Lubie's face as he says, "Where is she? Where is she?" But we're going to make that happen in short order, and we're looking very much forward to that, hoping that it does. And, of course, the story goes, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders story broke, and which was weird because it was like a 6-year-old story. Yep. And it actually involved a person that I was very familiar with at one time when he was an assistant to the great Carl Schmidt, who was an SID, Sports Information Director for the University of Miami. And this was in the heyday, the height of the University of Miami's football popularity, right? I mean, you're talking about the Schnelly days and then Jimmy Johnson, of course. And we met Rich when he was working with us on a project that we had going and was kind of assigned to us as the guy to help us out. And it seemed unfathomable if you knew him back then, and you never know what's going on with people and changes or whatever it is. I mean, some warped idiosyncratic behavior that they have that goes against the grain of moral and good taste. But nonetheless, we couldn't believe that he was a part of this thing. So we were contacted by a young lady, Megan Imbert, who wanted to comment on this. And she was involved, of course, with the Washington Commanders, at that time, the Redskins. And is she with us? We have the video stream there. Oh, there you are. The lovely Megan Imbert.
Good morning.
Is here on the program. How are you? Good to have you live here on our Ion Channel show. Thanks for joining us again.
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
All right, I've been doing this a long time. I was telling Lubie after you came on our Believe podcast with us, and we were trying to do a simulcast, but naturally, 2 Jewish kids technically challenged. I don't want to, make any ethnic labels there, but let's face it, we couldn't figure out how to get the video going. So we wanted to invite you on a show because usually a sportscaster or whatever, an announcer in my position or Lubie's, and you've done video production, you pretty much know the answer to the question before you ask it. There aren't a lot of new things that come out in sports interviews, and it's, interesting yet to hear the comments of the people, but it was explosive. I mean, for me, what you had to say in regards to Dan Schneider and his personal involvement in creating these voyeuristic videos of nude cheerleaders and the horrible, I mean, just demeaning fashion in which the organization was treating women, which is already documented, I guess, in previously decided investigation or concluded investigation. But you're saying that Schneider himself, and I wanted to have our Ion Channel people hear you on this, what was actually responsible for having a video crew go out, which you were the manager of, but were unaware that this was going on because conveniently left out of the meetings. And he was putting pressure on people that obviously were in dire fear of losing their jobs or, maybe losing a chance to pursue their own dreams in professional sports, and having them make these videos. So it was interesting to us to hear that. We just wanted to let you go ahead and have the platform to tell our audience about that experience with the Redskins.
Yeah, so to back up, just so everyone knows, it's not the same situation as like what the Dallas Cowboys has reported on, where someone actually was like, in the locker room while they're changing. This was a scenario where annually the ladies would be going to a tropical destination for a cheerleader calendar photo shoot. So everyone's familiar with that. And it was an opportunity where we also had a video crew there to do profiles, and we would do an annual documentary series that would be the making of the cheerleaders. Beauties on the Beach is what it would be called. So what ended up happening was maybe a lady was topless with a football position somewhere, or there was body paint, and basically the camera crew continued to roll or zoom in during those transitional shots. So really what ended up being spliced together to Dan Snyder's favorite bands was basically softcore porn, or Brad Baker quoted it as the good bits video. So unfortunately, we have 2 of those videos, 2008 and 2010, which I believe would have been 2 different producers. And I also have had another witness come forward anonymously stating how they were participants in other videos. So I would like there to be a criminal investigation here. And I've shared that also with Congress. I think this is outside of just the harassment and the insane toxic environment that he perpetuated for 20 years. This is a crime. And also such a morally bankrupt position to put my colleagues in, with the expectation of putting together these types of videos. And this is just what we know about. We don't know if there's other special projects or other things. And also, I'm very curious who else may have seen these. Have they been distributed? There's a lot of ladies that are very scared that, you know, their moms, their wives, that all of a sudden they're going to see these explicit video content, you know, being shared somewhere. And from Melanie Coburn's roundtable, it was also shared that sometimes the unedited pictures of them before, you know, editor goes and blurs things out was also either shared or someone could grab a copy within the training facility, which is just absolutely insane and inappropriate. So my biggest question right now is, who's had access to some of those types of files? How was it distributed? And how many years did this go on?
Megan Imbert with us here on Ion Channel on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. Megan was the production manager of the in-house video crew that was involved in this, and yet conveniently, Megan, somehow, what, did you not get the memo? Schneider forgot to remind you that there was a staff meeting about these sort of things?
So as the story comes out, Brad Baker, who was the first one on record in August of 2020, it was not uncommon for us to have staff meetings with my manager, Larry Michael, who has since also retired, was not fired right before allegations were made about him in July 2020. So aside from that, it wouldn't be strange for him to have his staff meeting in the morning and then say, Megan or whoever else, you know, go about your day. A couple of the men stick around. So from the account Brad Baker has, that's what it would be. And we had a couple of editing studios. It wouldn't be uncommon if a lead producer was working on a project. And obviously, if we ever knew there was a project for the owner, you know, no one interrupt. It was a pressing issue. They had the door shut. There was a way to have privacy, even though work operations were going all around. And back in 2008, when I was a production assistant at the time, I had walked into the editing bay to put in a practice tape. It was either practice footage or an interview. And this is back when we had tape decks where you would see kind of the playback machine. And I noticed it was a very, very zoomed in pubic area. And I thought to myself, even though it wasn't in a sequence for an actual production, I just thought that's a really strange thing. I understand that you're doing pans and zooms and all of that. It just seemed a little too tight for my liking of why is that zoomed in there? And I kept that in the back of my mind. And then here we are, you know, a decade later with this huge revelation that these inappropriate discussing videos were taken. And then in December of 2020, the ladies that were in those two videos, they did do a settlement and they signed NDAs. But I'm hoping that as we know there's more, if we get evidence, which I'm very concerned that it's been destroyed at this point because they've had over 19 months to do that, I'm hoping that they absolutely would have criminal charges versus taking a settlement. And I don't blame the ladies for settling. I don't want to sound like that, but in order for this to not perpetuate or ever happen again, we need to make sure that there's consequences.
And apparently, I mean, it's not singular to the Redskins then and now Commanders organization. As you know, we had this incident occurring, which, as we talked about, we knew this man, Rich Dalrymple, when he was a young guy. That doesn't mean that we have any idea, you know, what kind of person he evolved into. But you know, again, you're looking at a circumstance where it seems like, and we talked about this with regard to the Schneider investigation, which was conducted by their own in-house attorney there. Hey, Lou, make sure it looks good. That kind of thing. And how does the NFL? I mean, there are only 32 owners and 32 organizations total, franchises. How do they have no idea that this kind of behavior is persisting? You would think, is it just because everybody was afraid to come forward, or how would they have not even the slightest iota of an inclination to look into this and put a stop to it before it blossomed to the levels as you described?
Well, my at the Washington team is that it perpetuates from the top. So if the own his inner circle are participating in it, then they're not going to implicate themselves. That's the situation we're currently dealing with right now with the common interest agreement between the NFL and the Washington now Commanders. So for those catching up, we cannot see the findings of our 10-month, 120 to 150 person investigation without Dan Snyder consenting. So to your point, Jeff, the situation too is I want to remind folks that you might see one side of a person. So there's quite a few people that are having a hard time when they start to hear allegations. Well, I never experienced it, or, okay, I might've heard a comment here and there, they were joking. And even as I've learned as an individual the past 19 months, and as I've grown as a woman, and a leader, realizing in the future, if I am ever spoken to a certain way, or someone, said something, if I was friends or I considered it friendly or joking, I'm now going to correct them, even though it might be a little awkward. And I have no reason that I need to do that. They should know better. But I think this is a learning opportunity for us as a society as well, that if I consider it a joke, it doesn't invalidate the experience of someone else either. I'll give you one example. Ana Nunez, she came after me. She was one of the ladies that participated in the Congressional Roundtable. There was an executive of PR for us that harassed her and always talked about her. And I just felt inside like, wow, I considered that person a friend, but you know what? That man also harassed me. My nickname he gave me was Shakira. It was talking about my hips and my rear every day, but I just joked it off, went about my business. But then I think to myself, if I had corrected him, would Anna had gone through that experience? Like, she's crying in front of Congress. And that's kind of how I've internalized this experience. So it's a shame because, there's people that we would consider good humans, but at the same time, they've made terrible decisions. And we've also seen there's sometimes players that end up working in the front offices, and they might not have been corrected around their comments or behavior. And there's a ton of experiences that we're hearing about now. HBO did a unfiltered kind of podcast right before the roundtable, and we're talking. And it's not surprising, a player walking in an office and literally pants down, private parts out, and things like that happening, or myself included trying to leave the facility and a player backing in so I couldn't leave. And then can you imagine the optics of that if I'm like, excuse me, please leave, and then an executive sees this player and I'm the problem. So there's so many layers to this, and it was players, it was front office. But what I would get to is everyone has a different experience with folks. And, it's just a shame. And we need accountability, especially if it's someone that is in a leadership position. That's like an NFL owner should be a privilege. It should be an honor to own an NFL team. And, this has stemmed from the top. We have direct allegations on top of the videos against Dan Snyder. There was a $1.6 million settlement in 2009 of a sexual misconduct against him. And Beth Wilkinson, the lead investigator, tried to investigate that. And Dave Donovan, Dan Snyder's former attorney, sued her. Wow. So she actually tried to do this investigation.
We're talking with Megan Imbert, Emmy Award-winning sports producer / editor with the then Washington Redskins, was with the organization for a few years and got out of the business just because that's how bad the experience was for her. Uses the word toxic to describe the environment with the then Washington Redskins. And we've heard it still to this day with the now Washington Commanders, and also heard it with Dallas. And something we talked about on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll talk about now. It's something that you feel like goes around the entire NFL. If it's coming out of Dallas, coming out of other organizations in the NFL, it's not getting in the way of it. You would think it's not just happening in 2 out of 32 organizations. What I find the most I don't want to say interesting, but sort of abhorrent is it doesn't seem like it was subtle. It seems like to me, I grew, you hear things like this in the 50s and the 60s. Like I've never been in an organization where women and men are in this different level and things of this nature are said in public. And I'm in my late 30s, so to me, to hear this, you would think if it's happening, yeah, it's subtle, it's behind closed doors. The way you talk about it, if they're putting this video together for the owner and having producers in it, it's sort of known, understood, and even accepted. Like, is that the feeling that was there? It wasn't subtle, it was sort of overt, and you sort of just had to deal with it?
I would say the videos are a bit of an exception because obviously, I mean, I don't think that was something that the people willingly wanted to do or talk about. So that was definitely a secret until, Brad Baker came out, and then recently Tom Kercheval, who provided the files he had. From my perspective, though, it was definitely like a frat house kind of mentality where people would go around and how they talked, how they act. I'll give you an example. I could be in my editing suite doing a program, like a professional. I have interns in the room, everything, and it's a small space. And a player could just walk in, turn my chair around, sit on my lap. And I'm like, what do you do in that situation? Like, please get off of me. Like, I really wanted to punch him in the face, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I'm like, please get off of me. I'm trying to remain professional. And this is a starting player. If someone was walking down, we called it like the owner executive hallway. If someone was to walk down and see that, what's their response? It's probably, I'm doing something wrong. Other examples, I was not allowed to eat in the cafeteria downstairs and get food, and keep that in mind, $30,000 a year salary and working all those hours. However, part of my job in television, I was in the locker room. So I could be around 70 naked men, but I would be a distraction if I went to the cafeteria to eat food. So it was just this completely I can't speak this morning. It was just a really terrible situation. I mean, and then you're subjected to executives like constantly cursing, yelling. As a woman walks by, I could be in the studio with my boss, like, oh, Megan, do you think that her breasts are real? Like those kind of comments to me.
Wow.
And it's just kind of like, you're kind of in the state of shock, or you just kind of expect it from some of those people. So I think for me, it was like, when people ask me for some direct quotes and experiences, it's like, this was an all day, everyday thing. And Congress even asked the ladies, how often were you harassed? And it's like at least once a day, but it was just one of those, just try to go about your business. When I think about it now, I mean, it's been embarrassing to talk about because you sit there and people are like, well, why did you stay? Why did you allow this to happen? And it's like, this is not me allowing this to happen. The people that were supposed to protect us and have boundaries set did not. And I think there's a lot of actions that the league and sports in general could take, require the harassment training, take it seriously. A third party entity that can do investigations, just like Washington, just like Dallas. These teams should not be allowed to investigate themselves especially when it comes to criminal behavior. So,
yeah, I'm a big fan of the in-house investigation if it involves me. But other than that, I have a message here from Leslie Visser, one of the real pioneers when it came to anything that involved women advancing in sports broadcasting. Was one of the originals and had to suffer through a lot of these same indignities and also a lot of acrimony that the male dominated field, which it still is to an extent, I didn't want to tolerate accepting a woman, and the fans as well as a sports commentator. So she can certainly relate to many of the things that you're saying. And she says the whole thing breaks my heart. These women love football, talking about the people that are involved in this case and the investigation and the lawsuits against the Washington football franchise. And the experience had no joy. I mean, your personal experience, obviously, this was something that I would imagine was, I don't know if it was a dream job, but, I always wanted to get involved in sports. I'm very happy that I did. A lot of people would say even that were far more successful than I was in their careers, that, wow, I wish I could have done what you did. Because you were just having fun in the toy department all the time, doing something that you loved. How did this impact you professionally from a personal standpoint?
It's a great question because I think a lot of us, and I can speak for a lot of us, we worked there. A lot of the women that experienced a lot of the harassment and the toxic was, we were younger. I started there when I was a 19-year-old intern. I did multiple unpaid internships for them, ranging from PR to television. I had dreams. Despite my circumstances, I was an Emmy award-winning producer by the time I was 24 years old. And wow. I ended up giving that organization, I think it was 6 weeks notice of my quitting. I had one last documentary series to go to tape. I did not have a job lined up. I just realized like, this place does not align with who I am as a human being. And unfortunately for me, you know, it left such a bad taste in my mouth that it sparked me to switch industries entirely. So I think that that's a shame. There's a lot of us that either left our careers, took the risk and had to reinvent ourselves. But professionally, I don't have regrets about it. I'm just a believer in like trusting the timing in your life. There's a reason we're talking here today. There's a reason why, you know, I have a voice in this matter now. And, you know, who knows what the future holds, but it definitely, I think when I learned of the videos, that is the spark that made me go from anonymous to on record, because this was my department. I could have easily been there for 13 years and been the first female broadcaster that they see. You know, Julie Donaldson's there now. No discredit to her experience, but the whole point being those changes have all happened because we've all come forward. And then I learn about the videos. It makes me so livid. I want the day where I see all of those men in court. I want the day where I've been a voice for the cheerleaders. And that's why Melanie ended up going on record too. It was like, I felt like, yeah, the harassment thing is horrendous. And we just never saw how this would ever come to any kind of conclusion. There was no HR department. We're going up against billionaires. The people doing the harassing are the ones that are in leadership as well. So like, it's a lose-lose situation. And so you kind of just sucked it up and went about your day, hoping that either it would get better or you had a support system. So for me, I think it's gotten really personal. I think being able to share my experiences with the other ladies on record, and then there's some that aren't, but I know they participated in the investigation. I mean, the day that roundtable happened, my phone was blowing up with people none of you even know about, crying. Like, I can't even believe this is happening. Thank you so much. And like, I'm going to get emotional right now. Like, that's the kind of that keeps me going, because there's so many experiences that I don't know about. And when we hear about these settlements, slap it with an NDA, how much of this is being perpetuated? How many settlements are there? And what happened with the woman that was on the plane with that $1.6 million sexual misconduct? Other experiences, and I'm sure there are, like found out with the Dallas Cowboys. And I want to be clear, this was not just a female issue or a cheerleader issue. Men were treated like garbage too. They were bullied. They were also, it was just, you know, sometimes you don't like your management chain, but these were people that like, they would make fun of someone in front of other people or tell them to do something that's kind of humiliating at the, you know, trying to look cool in front of ownership or players. And we had a lot of fanboys. I think you're going to experience that in sports too. You have a lot of fans that end up working for the team and they want to be liked by the players, or, oh my gosh, this starter is like coming by my office and talking to me. And I'm like, I got a job to do. Like, keep it moving. Well, why is he coming by your office? Like, it's just that type of, it's just not healthy. And it's a shame, because I think there's a lot of us that we left the industry entirely. Like I would love to watch a game. I loved the game of football. It was so fun. And I did have some joy there. I had some great experiences, you know. And the sad thing is when you work in sports, you spend your holidays with your colleagues, you see them all the time. Yep. And now it's like, you know, even like this Emmy award or like pictures, it's just like, it feels just tainted now.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in trying to get justice and have it come about here, although it often fails to hit the the point when it comes to the people that are ultimately responsible, like Dan Schneider, as you imply in this case. Megan, thanks so much. I mean, very compelling and explosive stuff at the same time, and we really appreciate you reprising this interview that we had a couple of days ago with us here on Ion Channel, because we wanted our viewers around the world to be able to hear your voice and see you as well. And we can't thank you enough. We'll stay in touch and see how this thing progresses. I hope you'll stay with us and follow us all the way through. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. And for the listeners, you can follow us online. Release the report is the hashtag. We also are active with Congress. So I think while the NFL is doing their own thing, Congress is the key game changer in this situation. So thank you for having me again. Really appreciate it.
Megan,
Thanks so much. Megan Imbert was the production manager there for the Redskins organization, later on the Washington football team. Now the Commanders, just a flat-out commies is what it sounds like,
That's
Lubie.
about right, yeah. Wow. She actually, and I'm glad we got a second time to talk to her, she got into a lot more
Yes.
Wow. She's used the term frat house, and I thought she was being flippant. And then when she explained exactly what was happening, like, I've been around NFL franchises. I've been around professional franchises. That's not how it works.
Blutarski was showing women more respect than Animal House.
What is that? Like,
it's crazy, yeah.
You're not supposed to, first of all, openly mock people in a professional setting. Players,
well, I mean, you've been subjected to this through me for the last 12 years, but, I'm only kidding.
Joke, though. Like, come on. No, like, I'm talking about the actual, like, openly in front
No,
of
it sounds awful. Who should be subjected to that? That's terrible, right? I mean, trying to bring about quality. We just had this thing, was a big sports topic about how the women's national team finally got equal pay on the soccer platform with the men's team, which, who is more popular and who is more viewed? The U.S. national men's team in soccer? No, nobody knows anybody on that team, right? It's, it's George Best on that team. I don't know. But, the women's team, naturally, they created this wonderful Cinderella story. It was fantastic. Everybody knew the players. They all became very popular. And even if you thought the sport was designed by a mutant society around the time of Cro-Magnon man, as we do, you couldn't help but enjoy the U.S. women's national soccer team when they were in that World Cup thing. And then Brandy Chastain rips the shirt off there, and you're thinking, my God, this stuff is just brilliant, right? It was as exciting, and little girls are out there kicking soccer balls. You know how that goes, right? All right, anyway, a good time. A great job, Lubie. A little bit of a variety show here as the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge today. We do congratulate Ron, our winner, on the Trivia Challenge, and we thank the people at Hialeah Park for allowing us to have a couple of, journalistic interludes here with the great opinions of John Feinstein and then Megan Imbert. I think, anybody that just viewed that and or heard that interview would have to say, yeah, Lubie, you and Defo are right. That was definitely worth reprising again for the Ion Show. As, we tried to do it, and what was it?
There was a technical issue.
Overload? What was that?
It was like the site, I guess, cleaned out the day that we recorded that. It is up on Believe right now. Just search After Hours.
It was a little different conversation this time.
It was actually both conversations stand on their own. She brought it to the forefront the other day, so it was really cool. If you're just bouncing around, you want to check out a podcast, search After Hours on Believe.com. And here, this was a whole different, like, she got real details. It was I felt icky. Like, I literally.
That's awful. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, nobody should be subjected to that, right?
I mean, look, I'm a dude, and we've
in a professional work environment of any type.
We were very friendly with all of our colleagues at iHeart. Very friendly. We would.
You have to be careful about what you say, though, even today, even if you're just joking around. Yeah.
That was over lines if someone had just walked into a room. So that's what I was expecting to hear and be like, yeah, it happens. It's probably not right, but it happened.
Right.
Oh, no, we never did. Like, no one did any of that stuff. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, that was just weird. And this ain't.
No, I mean, to have that just be the standard, that it's one thing. You got one crackpot that's always making some kind of crass comments. I'm not a big fan of that. I really am not, in spite of my normal nature to be, a little bit bordering on the absurd. But, I'm not a fan of, somebody that's always, making comments. Hey, look at the boobs on that one. I mean, it makes me actually a little bit uncomfortable myself, believe it or not.
Who says to another woman, hey, do you think they're real? Like in an office setting, and you're like,
right. And then you're looking, and it's like, the vice president of player personnel. Get the fuck out of here. All right, that's what we're going to do. We'll have a Degenerate Friday tomorrow, and again, we're going to have to mix it up a little bit, shake up a couple of things. John Congemi going to join us here and talk about things that are going on the gridiron, and now you have all kinds of interesting maneuvers and machinations taking place. Who's going to be the quarterback here and there? And, I mean, always stuff going on in the National Football League, and we'll also have some handicapping for you. The professor, I don't know how he's going to do it, Lubie.
I know he showed me. I'm not privy to speak on it, but he showed me what he's thinking. It's spectacular. It's tremendous, and it will be really fun once again.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. So, we'll have some fun tomorrow with the Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday right here on Ion Channel. I think the status of Jersey Kyle is still somewhat unestablished.
We're supposed to get a computer. I actually talked to him on the phone last week, and then I was supposed to hear from him and maybe go over there and help him out, and then I never heard from him. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Last address unknown is what you find with most of our friends. Last known address, and it's blank. All right, thanks, people, for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed Megan Imbert. Some very, I thought it was explosive stuff that she was saying about the inner workings of the Redskins, now Commanders organization. A shame, really, that somebody should be subjected to something like that. And it wasn't just her. And, in very Brian Floresian type fashion, she's sort of sacrificing, her chance to go ahead and cash in on this sort of thing, to go ahead and continue to take a megaphone to it and try and put a blowtorch once and for all to this kind of behavior being accepted as part of the National Football League. The very sanctimonious NFL, always trying to do the right thing, right? And then this kind of garbage is going on, or at least, it seems that it has more than its share of foundation and truth, does it not, Mike Lubitz, that this was part of the behavior there?
She doesn't seem to be saying. The problem is she says it so easily and so specifically. It's not just.
Oh, that was, some scalding stuff there on the Defo Show. We're not known to dive into heavy-duty journalism here, but that was it. Right there in a nutshell. All right, Lubie, good job. Thanks to the people at Hialeah Park, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, all of our fine sponsors here on the program. We certainly appreciate that. Jack Namer and Amy for allowing us to do this every day with Brad Schiller, making sure that technically, and we're advancing, I think, a little bit. In small doses here, Lubie, bringing you more people on video and things of that nature, although we can't get a couple of our own people to get on board. It's always something, huh? Holy Rosanna Dana. All right. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. on the East Coast as we leave you know that. Thank you, people, for joining us.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.